Hello everyone, we are live here on Well Code, and today we're gonna talk about why it is wrong to start with HTML and CSS, and I'm gonna give you 3 reasons why. And the reason behind this video is that a lot of beginners are in a place where they don't know how to start. They are at this point where they want to become programmers, or they want to use the fancy word for it, and they want to become software engineers, and they don't know where to start. And a lot of times what we do when we don't know how to do something is that we just go online, we type how to learn programming, and then we look at the first result, or we go on Facebook, we go on a Facebook group and we ask the question over there about, hey, I want to become a software engineer, where do I start? And a lot of people and a lot of articles in that space are talking about HTML and CSS. A lot of people think that starting with HTML and CSS is a very good idea, and my opinion is that that is very far from the best thing. So before continuing with the live video, don't forget to ask all your questions if you have any. So you can write down a comment, and I'm gonna answer at the end of this video or afterwards in the comment section. And also, this is a video that's not for everyone. A lot of people wanna learn programming just because you make a lot of money, and that's not the wrong reason to learn coding. Don't get me wrong, but they wanna do it very fast. They wanna find a special shortcut that just gets you to the place where you are a software engineer, where you're making a lot of money, but they don't want to do the work. So that's not the case. This is not a video for someone who wants to learn programming quick. It's not for the people who want to copy and paste code and not learn anything. And we are definitely not about finding an easy way. Obviously, we don't make it more difficult than necessary, but it shouldn't be easy. That's why programmers earn a lot of money. So we are talking for the people who want to become great programmers, want to have great results, and who are in the game in the long run. Okay, so first of all, we need to understand a few important concepts. And the first one of those concepts is that HTML and CSS are not programming languages. They are used a lot when doing coding, especially when doing web development, but that doesn't mean that they are programming languages. The same way as a mouse is not a programming language, even though we are using it when we are coding. So a mouse is a tool, the keyboard is a tool, HTML and CSS are tools, but they are used for different purposes. And the purpose behind HTML and CSS is to format documents. The same way as you are using Google Docs or Microsoft Word to format a document, the same we are using HTML and CSS to format web pages. And the reason behind HTML and CSS being so popular is that they are very simple to use, they are very easy to learn, and a lot of times when someone is trying to teach how to code, that person wants to do it, and he wants to make it easier for the client, easier for the person who's learning. But even though HTML and CSS are super easy to learn, they aren't going to bring you to the end goal. So this is a super important concept, because even if you become an expert at HTML and CSS, you still won't be able to get hired as a programmer. You won't get a software engineer job just by knowing HTML and CSS. So imagine the following comparison. HTML and CSS are just for formatting documents. Imagine that you become very good at using Microsoft Word or Google Docs. You will be qualified for being a secretary, you will be qualified for processing documents, for modifying, for typing out letters, but that won't make you a computer expert or a programmer. And this is also true for learning how to develop how to create HTML and CSS web pages, because in our days we have a lot of website creators who are already doing a great job. So a few examples of those are WordPress or Wix. So we have those already. And for building websites using WordPress, you don't need to learn HTML and CSS because you already have a visual editor. You just type your text, you highlight whatever you want to write in bold. Whenever you want to add a picture, you just click the picture icon, you choose the picture that you want to appear on the page, or even easier, you just drag and drop that image and you put it on your page, and then you hit the publish button, you copy the link, you share it on Facebook, and boom, you are done. You have your website without writing a single line of code. And that's super important. Nowadays in 2020, you can build pretty cool websites without writing a single line of code. So you need to make the distinction between someone who just builds websites and someone who builds web applications, because there is a big difference over there. Imagine the following thing. Imagine someone just repairing cars. Maybe imagine someone who just paints cars. So you have a car, you got bored of its gray color and you want to paint it red, and you take it to a painter, and then you'll have a red car. And this is what someone who just builds websites does. Now imagine that you work for an automotive company like BMW or Mercedes or any kind of automotive company. And what that company does is that it builds the car from scratch. It designs the way the engine works, it designs the interior, it designs all the buttons and all the functionalities of the car. And that's basically like building a web application. And a web application is a more complex project. It's not something that it's used by a local business just to put their phone number over there and briefly describe their services. It's something that has logic inside it. So it's something that, for example, Facebook has on its web application. You can upload photos, you can comment on your friends' photos, you can like them, you can share them, you can share articles, you can share this video, and so on. And because of that, it's not enough to have a nice interface and to write, hey, here is Facebook, this is the place that people use when they want to connect. You also need to have the logic behind it, and you can't create the logic just by using HTML and CSS. And now we need to move to our last point today, to the last reason why HTML and CSS are not worth learning when you begin writing code, is that in order to build that complex web application, in order to make something that's really useful, you need to have a way of thinking. You need to develop a new way of thinking, the programmer's way of thinking. And in order to do that, you need to start solving problems. And what do I mean by that? You need to start creating simple programs, you need to start creating applications, and once you build something that's very simple, you need to level up. You need to start building something that is more complex. You need to increase the difficulty of the things you're building, and by doing And by doing that, you can develop your way of thinking. So for example, first of all, you just need to write a program, a code, an application that prints a text over there. Something that is very boring. It's not something that you will ever use in a practical way, but that's the first step. Then the next thing that you can build is a simple calculator. Again, you won't ever use a calculator that you build yourself, unless maybe you want to do some very complicated calculations and you want to build something that's custom, but we're not talking about that. So you just need to build a calculator that can do addition. Again, you won't ever use it in a practical way. It's not useful at all, because every smartphone and every computer over there have a calculator that will probably work better than the one that you'll create. But again, it's not about creating something useful in the end or something that's very visual. It's just about understanding some concepts and applying them in a new way, thinking about how you can use the concepts that you learn and apply them in a new way. Okay, so after you've done that, the next step is to do a more complicated thing. For example, you can find a maximum number from a series of numbers. So for example, you have 12 numbers, each representing the income that a company had during a month, and you want to find out which month was the one with the highest revenue. So you read the 12 numbers and then you have to print out the largest number on the screen. And by doing that, you're getting closer and closer to a practical way of using the concepts that you learned. But you can't do that overnight. You need to slowly progress in learning how to do those things. And now if we were to compare HTML and CSS, or learning HTML and CSS with learning how to code, the main difference is that by using HTML and CSS, you just memorize some concepts. For example, you just memorize how to put an image on a page, or you just memorize how to make the text bigger or how to make the text a different color, but you won't have any kind of interaction there. You won't be able to have a button that when you press, whenever you press, it changes a number on the page. It makes the number bigger. So even if you want to build something that's very simple, like for example, counting the number of times that a button was pressed or the number of times that a page was accessed, you won't be able to do that just by using HTML and CSS. And what you'll end up doing is that you'll end up learning how to make a website beautiful, how to add color, how to add a lot of things. But those things won't be that useful, because what I found out is that when I'm creating websites, I'm just using things that were already built, that are already looking great, and I'm only concerned about the logic that I want to build. So I hope this was useful for you. I hope you'll learn some things. And now if you want to start developing that way of thinking that I was talking about earlier, go on wellcode.com, create a free account and start learning. And also what we have over there is a lot of support. You will be able to interact with me and with my team of experts. So just go on wellcode.com and start learning. And if you have any questions, don't forget to write a comment, because we will answer those. I wish you good luck, and I hope you will become an awesome software developer.